Hello, so I'm super excited to talk about work versus play. And I have some really good stories to tell, so I'm super excited about this one. Okay, so what's the difference between work and play for you? And it's probably really obvious and really clear for you. You're like, well, obviously this is work and this is play, because for you, it's a very distinct difference. And you can probably look around and see like other people are doing, they have different versions of what's work and what's play for them. And so you may notice, like, for you, maybe playing chess is play. It's like so much fun and exhilarating, and any chance you have to play, you want to play chess with someone. And for you, that's play. And for someone else who's maybe a beginner or hasn't put in the time that you have, playing chess would be hard work, like that mental work and exhaustion, and like they have to take breaks, and it's twisting their arm to get them to play chess with you. So chess, it's could be viewed as work or play. And another one is rock climbing. Rock climbing could be like super hard for some people. It would be like torture because they're scared of heights, because it takes a lot of stamina to get up there. Maybe they haven't had the practice and the skills, or maybe it's just they've done it and they're like, I would never do that on purpose. I would never rock climb on purpose, even to save my life. Like, I would never want to do that. And then for other people, they love rock climbing. It's a thrill, an adventure, a challenge. And they're just like, oh my gosh, trying to get up that mountain. It's the best time of my life. Like, it's super fun, right? And so you can see from these examples that the activity itself isn't what makes something fun or what makes something feel like work. It's your perspective that you brought to it. And I know a lot of people would be thinking, well, yes, it's the perspective I brought to it because I'm unique, and other people are unique, and so they have different ways of looking at their work and their play. But it's something you can't just change. You can't just be like, okay, this was work and now I'm going to treat it like play. You can't just switch it like that, because it has years of training. You have years of training to decide what your work is and what your play is. And you can look back and point to different factors in your environment. You could be like, well, this is work for me because my dad forced me to do it and I hated it, and I always looked at the clock to see how long it was going to be until I was done. And so obviously I couldn't view that as play. And so we're like, yeah, it could be different from person to person, but it depends on your skills, your background. You have to be good at something, or you have different rules for yourself, right? What can be work and what can be play. So I have two really fun stories to explain this. And one of them is, okay, so most kids nowadays, especially most boys, would view video games as play. Like, you can get them to do all kinds of chores and things like that if you promise video games at the end of the day. So for them, it's a no-brainer. They don't have to stop and go, are video games work or play? Like, no, of course, it's play for them. But me, I'm the mother of 6 boys, and I actually alluded to this in a post a little while ago about VR, because I hate video games. Like, oh my gosh. So I have been much more open-minded about video games. Like, I don't make past judgments on other people that play, but just for me, like, I have put almost no effort into learning how to play video games. But I have 6 boys, so it would be kind of cool if I was a mom who played video games with my boys, right? Because it's a way to connect, it's a way to have shared interests. At least I'd know what they were talking about when they would say Minecraft or Overwatch or whatever they're playing, right? It would be cool if I was the kind of mom that at least tried it out. So about a year ago, I was like, okay, I'm gonna try this out, and I played an underwater sea game. And it was so funny. So for me, it was like, okay, I'll try. And then all of my kids came in the room, literally surrounded by all my kids and my husband. They wanted to see me play a video game. Well, I was horrible. So you're supposed to do this thing with the control, right? Push this button and move this thing, and every time, all of a sudden I had a fire extinguisher or something like that in my hand, a tool that I didn't want. And I was like it kept happening over and over. I was so bad at it, right? So then I waited until another year passed before I tried again, and this time I played something called Stardew Valley. And when they say it really fast, it sounds like Stardew Valley, like Stardew. Anyway, but now I know it's Stardew Valley, and it's this like agricultural game. And so instead of having everyone around me, they decided to have everybody playing at the same time. So they gave us all our own controller, our own, interface. And I had a teacher. So Isaac, my 5th son, was my teacher. So he was there explaining everything to me. You need to do this and you need to do this. Well, it turns out I was really bad at planting. I was really bad at so many of the different things. So what they were like, oh, she'll be good at this. So they had me spreading fertilizer, like these little dots onto the field. So here I am. The only job that I was qualified enough to do that didn't mess up their game was to spread fertilizer. And I was so bad at it, I couldn't even check the mail. Like, to check the mail, you have to line yourself up with the mailbox. And if you're too close to it, it won't open. And if you're too far away. And so my poor son is like, okay, go a little closer. Oh, that's too close. Go a little bit further back. It's like, I couldn't even check the mail. That's how bad I was at this game. And so manure, shoveling manure, that was my job. And guess what? Guess how I viewed it? It was hard work. Like, literally, I asked to take a break because it was hard for me. Like, it was hard to get my little guy to do the right thing and pick up the right thing and drop the right thing. Like, this controller interface was very hard for me to use. And so I had to take breaks from spreading manure on this video game because it was hard work for me. And any young boy would be like, oh my gosh, how could video games ever be work? It's total play for them. So you can get where I'm going with this, that work it's not intrinsic in the activity, it's how you view the activity. And we have a whole long line of experiences and stories and things that we say that make something hard work for us. So it's whatever our backstory is, right? Our backstory is what makes something work and something play. I mean, people who love gardening. They're just out there every chance they can get, and it's their Saturday rejuvenate activity, and they come in all covered in dirt, and they love it, right? Gardening is amazing, and then it's torture for other people. It's like, oh my gosh, I would never do that. Why go to all that work when you can just buy your vegetables at the store? Like, so different. We're all so different, but also we have these backstories that are changeable. And so that's my message today, is that your backstory about what work is and what play is flexible. And the more flexible that you see that it is, the more you can apply it to stuff in your life that just needs to be done. There are things in your life that just need to be done regardless of if you view them as work and play. So cleaning the bathroom, it just needs to be done. Like, do you view that as work or do you view that as play? And if it needs to be done anyway, why not have fun with it? Why not play? So I'm going to give you another example. Oh my gosh. So this is so good. So my husband, when he was a kid, had goats, and they had this goat shed, and all winter long they would milk the goats, and they didn't clean it out until the spring because it was just too cold and it was frozen during the winter. And so the manure was frozen, and so they couldn't clean it out. So in the spring, it was my husband's job and his brothers to go and clean out this goat shed. And it smelled so bad, as you can imagine, like a whole winter's worth. And this was cold Idaho, so winter's like 9 months there. So they go in and they take a pitchfork or a shovel and they break open the surface of this manure, and it smells so bad, so hideous that they would retch. So they had to sprint out of there as fast as they could. Like, I can't on earth think of a job more challenging than this, but like that I would consider work and that I would avoid more than this. Like, they go in, they dig up some manure, and it smells so bad. Like, they imagine like green steam coming out of it because it was so strong. Like, the smell was so bad. So they would have to hold their breath while they did and then run out. And then after it kind of aired out a little bit, then they'd go in and they had to take all of the manure that was on the floor of the goat shed, put it in a wheelbarrow, and take it out and spread it in the garden. So even just pushing the wheelbarrow smelled horrible. So they had to hold their breath, dig the shovel out, put it in the wheelbarrow, then hold your breath, take the wheelbarrow to the garden and spread it out. Like, so bad. But it was the very worst in the goat shed because it was not airing out, right, as fast as it would be in the garden and pushing the wheelbarrow. So it was but he actually has fond memories of it. Like, he thinks back and he's laughing about it, and he was like, oh, those were good times. He's spreading manure. So I love all these stories interplay because here I am doing something most people would say is fun, playing video games, and in the game I'm spreading manure, and here it is, it's work for me. And then my husband was spreading actual manure, and he viewed it as a game. So it's so fun. And just because this applies here, I have a good friend who I asked her what her favorite childhood memory was. So she thought about all of her childhood memories. Like, she thought of holidays, she thought of goodies, she thought of vacations with the family. She kind of thought through things, and her favorite memory as a child was going through the compost and finding an egg that was intact but rotten on the inside. And her favorite memory was breaking that rotten egg until it just burst out, that horrible rotten egg smell. That was her favorite childhood memory. Like, there again, like, aren't we so different? Aren't we so different from each other? Oh my gosh, so like, I think that's hilarious. Anyway, so let's go back to the chess example at the beginning, and also the rock climbing example. So it's not about mental exertion. That doesn't define hard work or play, right? Because chess, hard mental exertion, right? Play for some people, work for other people. And it's not about physical exertion, because sports, I mean, look at how many people exert themselves physically with sports and are like, it's exhausting, right? Physically and mentally, but it's play. And so that's not, but then other people could approach the sports as work and not enjoy it and only do it if they were forced to. And so what I think is a fun side note is to say, is whenever we use the word work or the word play, like, to kind of catch ourselves and go, when I say, oh, this is hard work, or this is lots of work, or I have to go to work, like, actually kind of pull that word apart. Like, it's, consider it a new word and say, this word I'm used my whole life to mean I assumed what this word meant, right? Because in your head you probably had an assumption, some kind of categories or general ways that you describe work as. So when you use that word this week, I challenge you to actually pull that word out, pull that word up and kind of look at it and explore it and say, whatever I viewed as work up till this point is changeable and flexible. And anything I viewed as play is changeable and flexible. So you can actually rewire those past experiences, past memories, and view it differently. Try it. It's so fun. Like, it's surprising what you can change from work into play. And if it's something you have to do anyway, if it's on your to-do list this week, you have to do it anyway, why not have fun with it? So that's my message for today. So much fun. And then I wanted to remind you guys about tomorrow, how I'm doing a webinar with Dr. Dalal, and I put the details on my wall. I posted it this morning, and I said tomorrow, so look on my wall to get the details. So on that. And then also just to thank everybody for watching. You guys are amazing, and it is so much fun to do this with you guys. It's just a blast. So thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.